Anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code VEST for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code VEST for 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code VEST for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Tired of monkeying around with broken sprinkler heads and smelly lawnmowers? Weeds and dry patches make you scream, growling over your decision to put a plant the size of an elephant in mistakes the size of an African hedgehog? Navigating your way through the maze of gardening and landscaping options and maintenance for your home or office really is enough to drive anybody wild.
Hi, I'm Randy Quilici, owner of Quilici Gardening and Landscaping. If anyone knows it's a jungle out there, it's us. We've been offering complete maintenance and landscape installation for residential and commercial properties since 1982. It's easy to let things get overgrown and out of hand, and keep putting off adding that special water feature you've wanted for so long. Let us help by taming and shaping your landscape into something you'll be proud of. Call me at 425-5269 or visit us at QuilichiGardening.com.
Quilici Gardening and Landscaping, because without them, it really is a jungle out there.
Bill Graff here, talking with Alexander Hagan from Etheric Networks. Alex, tell me about your crew.
We have about 45 staff here in the Bay Area. Double E in RF engineering. I have some top networking guys. We get support from our vendors. We've been doing this for 20 years. We consider ourselves, with all due modesty, very strong on the technical side of the business. And we also like what we do, just like I know you like what you do. We want our customers to be happy all the time. And so it depresses us if our customers are unhappy. You remember back in the big storms, we worked day and night to make sure that service kept running.
How can folks get a hold of Etheric?
I would suggest sending a mail to sales@etheric.net and mention the KSCO special. We'll give them 10% off on their first year on install, on equipment, on service. But we also have a website, and just look up Etheric Networks, and that has information with our phone number, our sales contact information, as well as direct interactivity with the website.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. Behind chronic disease, you'll always find sick cells, and behind sick cells is always dirty blood that the cells are trying to live in. It's the blood that's responsible for keeping the cells healthy. If all disease is cell disease, then all cell disease is the disease of dirty blood. It's no coincidence that diseases of the kidney, the body's blood filtering, are increasing at a dramatic rate, and that medical professionals have long recognized that kidney health issues increase when the blood is toxed out with high levels of drugs, pesticides, and industrial solvents. And if you're dealing with a diet-based blood toxicity, food intolerances, or digestive difficulties, calorie restriction and fasting are great health strategies, as are eliminating gluten, food allergens, and simple sugars from processed food and drink that can wreak havoc on gut health. Practicing deep breathing techniques can leverage respiratory detoxification. That's because blood toxins are expelled with every exhalation, and improved oxygenation has a blood thinning effect, improving the movement of nutrition and the removal of toxicity. Proper hydration through drinking water can do the same thing. One controversial but effective technique for blood cleansing is chelation, a sort of magnetic vacuum cleaner that picks up poisons like a magnet picks up metal filings. For maximum chelation benefits, doctors can pump a chemical called EDTA directly into the blood, or chelating agents like selenium, vitamin C, and bentonite clay can be ingested orally. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm a pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
If you don't like his opinion, see the First Amendment and get back to us. It's the Rob Carson Show.
I'm Mary Walter in for Rob Carson. Joining us now on the Newsmax hotline, it is Kay Smythe, news and commentary writer for the Daily Caller. Follow her on Twitter at Kay Smythe, SMYTHE. Kay, thank you for joining me.
Oh my gosh, Mary, no, thank you so much for having me. I was just telling the producers, like, oh, you poor thing, you've got to put up with me. You've got to put up with me today, and usually I just get to be horrible to Rob. It's just the most fun. No, the honor is all mine. Thank you.
Well, you are very sweet, and I don't know if you know this, but I know a lot of your coworkers, or maybe former coworkers at the Daily Caller. So, I used to be in D.C., and I used to work with a man named Vince.
Oh, I love Vince. I love Vince. I mean, all of the Vinces. We've had many Vinces through the Daily Caller, and they're all just fantastic people. But no, Vince Polonaise is probably one of my favorite human beings under the sun, and he also is one of the few people where we can get into arguments on the radio, and somehow we both end up learning something in a really nice way.
Well, do what I do. Just tell him he's wrong and you're right, and end it. I mean, that's what I used to do. All right, let's get into this. Big day today. There's really nothing to talk about, unfortunately. But Donald Trump is departing his hotel to go to the federal courthouse to face these charges for his arraignment. Obviously, let me ask you, do you think, we didn't get it in New York, there was no perp walk, there was no mug shot. Do you think that happens now with this indictment?
I don't think this happens. I think this is just another distraction tactic that the progressive left is using to essentially force our attention away from the fact that we are living under one of the most corrupt leadership in governmental history. And we're just going to point fingers and go back to the whole orange man bad vibe, like they're just trying to recycle that old meme. I don't think anything is really going to come from this. I think it is just such an excellent form of macro psychosocial manipulation. We've seen it work so consistently over the last few years. Anytime the Bidens are getting investigated for something, whether it's something to do with Hunter and his laptop and the horrific...
Oh.
going on there, all of the Ukraine stuff, the Burisma stuff that's come up in recent weeks. I really do think that going after Trump is just such an excellent way to distract the public and to keep manipulating that voter base who has already proven that they don't want freedom, they don't want intellect, they don't want to think for themselves. They want to be told how to think by a bunch of glorified failed actors who now essentially represent them in government, i.e. AOC and all of those idiots. So I don't think if we see a perp walk, I think when we see the perp walk is actually when we can start hopefully seeing their rubbish kind of fail, that kind of manipulation fail. Like that, I would say is like a last tactic that they should use against Trump. And I don't know if it'll be legitimate or not, but like from everything that I've analyzed and everything I've been told, I speak to a lot of constitutional scholars, I talk to a lot of people about this. In my day-to-day life, I don't even write about it, and they all basically think the same thing at this point. Like it's just a great way to point fingers while ignoring the three pointing back at progressive politicians.
Speaking of that, there is a piece on Newsbusters, and they analyzed, the Media Research Center analyzed, they always do this, the number of minutes spent covering Trump versus the number of minutes spent covering Biden. The Trump indictment coverage between ABC, CBS, and NBC received 291 minutes of coverage, Trump indictment. The Biden-Burisma Broadway coverage is 0 seconds. So 291 minutes versus 0 seconds. When you have the left-wing media being not even media anymore, they're just propagandists for the left. And we see it now. I mean, it is out there. A lot of people don't see it, which is amazing to me. But a lot of people don't see it. Is there any hope of ever getting any kind of justice, any hope of being able to pressure the deep state, the DOJ and the FBI, into actually doing their jobs and let Congress have oversight and get to the bottom of what happened with Biden?
I think the only way that any of this truly comes out is long after Biden has left this earth. I think that we are going to, sort of by the time that my goddaughters and what have you, by the time they're in college, I think it will be common knowledge. I think we will look back at this moment in history and go, I mean, hopefully if colleges still exist at that point, and aren't, just like weird, woke, military-style indoctrination gulags. But I think that the only way that the truth comes out is long after all of these people are just parts of history. When you look back at the last 100 years of American history, so many things that have happened here have only really come to light in the last 10 to 15 years. When you look at archaeological history, even there's stuff that we know is factual, we know is true, but mainstream academic scientists won't admit that it's true because it doesn't go along with their narrative. And the exact same thing happens with political history. This is a normalized process of propaganda and macro-psychosocial manipulation. And I truly don't think people are willing to put their lives at risk to out the corruption in the government. I mean, that's kind of like a martyr's journey at this point. Like anyone that has legitimate information knows that they'll end up at the bottom of the Hudson or something if they come out and talk about this. And I think that that's why it's going to take maybe a decade or more for any of this to really come to light and any sort of so-called justice to be done, but we'll never see it through the court system. I truly don't think we ever will.
So, but we've got, and now you make me sad, we've got Chuck Grassley, though, coming out last evening, talking about, wait a minute, this is what's happening. We've seen these papers, and why are they, they're redacting, the DOJ and FBI are redacting non-classified documents. We know they sat on these things. All of this is coming to light now. Doesn't Congress have the power, though, to set that part of the ship right?
It has the power, absolutely, but whether or not they'll do it is anyone's, it's kind of up to anyone's guess. But my gut feeling and from tracking the data, and when I say data, I mean just sort of cyclical behavior, essentially, by politicians, we're never going to get to the bottom of what really happened with COVID, right? We're never really going to know the truth about that. I've seen some weird stuff in the skies, and there's a lot of people, within the military-industrial complex who say UFOs is real. We're never going to see the truth on that, and that's probably more demanded from the government and the deep state than any other subject matter, which is kind of ridiculous to think. So something like this, where there is a vested interest from the global elite to ignore the wrongdoing of the Biden administration and everything that essentially encompasses and led up to that, like going back as far as with the Clinton administration, like, no, there's too much money, there's too much power that will stop anything effective from being done. But I think in the same way, we're also probably not going to see Trump actually, I don't know if he's going to do the purple walk. Maybe they'll try and do it just, for fun or whatever. But we're talking about a demographic of people who control everything. So what they want to happen will happen, and I don't think that disclosure on this true corruption is ever going to see the light of day in these people's lifetime. I know that sounds awful and sad, but that's just how history has always worked. And I would love for there to be a great awakening. I would love for people to stand up and demand this, but I mean, I've seen people stand up en masse and demand so many things, and it never happens. And that's why I'm like, why do you trust the government? Like, that's the craziest part to me, right? It's like, I have friends and family members who still support this administration, and I'm like, but look at what they do, and look at what we know that they do. How can you still trust them? So maybe it's just a case of going a bit smaller with this, right? Like, maybe that's the solution. Maybe we spend more time talking with our loved ones, educating on a kind of like day-to-day basis what people are up against when it comes to this administration, and we can just sort of get to the point where people no longer vote for them. And hopefully we still have fair elections, and we can just get rid of them and then conduct those investigations.
Right.
While we're in power, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, well, that makes me sad again. So that's okay. So the New York Times chief political analyst is Nate Cohn, and he did a report on Thursday, and he found that millennials are turning Republican. Now, this is the group that overwhelmingly backed Obama. Now, they're in their 30s and early 40s now. Now, only half of them that backed Obama voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and exit polls show, they say even a more dramatic shift, with Biden winning by just 51 to 45% among voters who were 18 to 27 in 2008. So, it said what happens as you get older, you become more conservative. We were told for years, even by by a guy named Ru Teixeira and John Judas, who wrote that book in 2000 on Emerging Democrat, what was it called? I can't remember the book, but they talked about how it's going to be, this is the beginning of Democrat power forever, holding the reins of the government, because millennials are the first ones steeped in this ideology. But it doesn't seem to be working out that way. So is that what happens? Do we start to see that? And what's the way to be the ultimate in a rebel? Be against the establishment now, right? Because everyone's pro-establishment. So if you're really a rebel as a young person, you're anti-establishment. So is this maybe some good news?
I think this is great news. I think it also shows like a massive influx of common sense within my generation. I was extremely liberal socialist when I moved out to the States, and living under Democratic leadership out in California for 6-7 years was enough for me to be like, oh, you know what? I can read and write, and I can open my eyes and see things and articulate what's going on around me. And it seems like these guys might not be doing a great job. So to know that so many other people within my sort of age group and generation are seeing that light, I think that's great. But unfortunately, I think it's as much to do with the fact that we know that we've been lied to. We know that we've had our freedoms taken away under the COVID-19 pandemic. We know that China is largely responsible for this, and our government is doing nothing about it. We can think, like, one of the things, I had a long conversation, I hope I don't get in trouble with my friends for saying this, but I was a bachelorette party this weekend, far cases that you would say. But we were all sort of sitting around going, we don't know what the world is going to look like in 10 years. Like, for the first time in our lived experience, we can't plan that far ahead. Right. All of my friends who have bought homes, who made under, I would say, under 200